Hello and welcome to Replacement Player Baseball. My name is Tom Hogan. I'm here with Matt Eisenhammer today, and we are doing our very first Monday morning with Matt, even though it's 10 o'clock at night and it's not a Monday, but we are doing opening day for Replacement Player Baseball, and we are very excited to get this season kicked off. Now, it is March 26th of 2020. Spring training is done. Mr. Eisenhammer has been guiding the team for about a month now. He's made a couple of moves, and we are going to jump right in and talk to him about his thoughts on the upcoming season. So first off, share with us a little bit of your conversations with Tom Ricketts and his expectations for the team here in 2020.
Yeah, so I will tell you, the Ricketts family is very expectant of a return to the playoffs. There's no question that that's the biggest reason for a departure from the Ricketts and Theo. They're not thrilled with missing the playoffs last year, and they expect a return this year, especially with all of the dollars they've put into the new TV deal and their own network, and also with all the hotel and the facility upgrades. I can tell you, in addition, they want to see another return to the World Series within the next 5 years, and so that's certainly on the mind, as it is. It's on our mind as it is every year. And then, in addition, an extension for Anthony Rizzo, and that's gonna be, to me, the most complicated. It's going to be the most complicated goal, because he is currently looking for an 8-year extension. He's 30 now, looking for an 8-year extension at $30 million a year, very similar to what Pujols was looking for. And if anyone's followed that, you can see how that deal has gone. Certainly, maybe positive early, but it got rough late.
You know, the Cardinals took a lot of flack initially for letting Pujols walk. He was a huge fan favorite in St. Louis. Rizzo, maybe not the exact same analog to it, but certainly a very popular player here in Chicago.
Well, I think in the last 20 years, he's the closest thing to Mr. Cub that you have.
Absolutely. Now, let's steal a page out of everybody's MBA classes that they try to take and talk a little bit about SWOT analysis. Why don't you share with me kind of your vision for this team a little bit, in the form of a strength, a weakness, an opportunity, and a threat that we see on the field or on this roster?
Yeah, I think that the strength of this team is certainly Rizzo and his consistency, and then really probably Chris Bryant as well. I think that they should bring very typical numbers and drive a lot of the success that this team can hope for.
And make some amusing videos on the side as well.
Yes, Rizzo.
Absolutely. And so a weakness for the team. I mean, we could talk about the last week of 2019 if you want to, but share with me a weakness that you see in this team.
Well, I mean, I'll be completely open. I feel like 2019 reared its ugly head and showed some significant weaknesses, and most of those were kind of said to be a lack of focus and energy from the players, leading to the non-re-signing of Joe Maddon. I don't see it that way. I don't think that was the issue. I think that there was a consequence, time to pay the piper, of what happens when you don't have any homegrown pitching, and you make a lot of trades to bring in pitching that's now getting older. The Cubs bullpen was in question. They were counting on Morrow, who I don't believe threw a pitch last year. Strobe, who was injured, and
they brought in Kimbrel halfway through the year as a free agent.
What they ended up doing, and that didn't work out. That didn't really work out either, and that exploded that last week of the season against St. Louis. So there's no question to me that there was big holes in the bullpen. There was no second baseman ready to go, and you could certainly say they weren't expecting Zobrist to take a leave of absence, but there was no second baseman. There was no leadoff hitter. There was minimal production from center field. and you're still paying a significant amount of money for a glove in right field. Although Hayward did make some improvements over previous years. And
Sure.
so most of the trades that you've seen me make in the first month of the season was really to attempt to cover most of our weaknesses.
All right. And we will get to those trades here in just a moment. Next, an opportunity. Where do you see an opportunity for things to improve going forward for this team?
Well, I think some of that remains to be seen. I mean, I think you've got some young players now, and we're going to get to that I brought in. But I think the opportunity now is I think the bullpen can be much stronger. I think there's an opportunity for the starting pitching to improve, and I'm interested to see how some of the young players show up. And then to me, the biggest opportunity is to see, can we reduce the amount of times we strike out? Because I think that's killed the Cubs since 2015.
Sure. Now, a threat, and this doesn't have to be an internal. If you want to talk about an external threat, another team in the league, another team in the division, the threat to the continued success of the Cubs.
I think our division is really quite good. I don't know that there's a world beater in our division, but I certainly think that the Cardinals are always dangerous and have a team that's very good. I think the Brewers still have quite possibly the best player in the National League in Yelich, and I think they can be a threat. And quite frankly, it remains to be seen how the Reds' recent free agent acquisitions pan out, but I think that they could just as easily win the division as any of the other teams. And so I think it's a very deep Central. And I think that's a concern. And then when you get to the fact that the Dodgers are a nightmare.
Out in the West, yep.
Out in the West. I think that's a problem. The Braves have a lot of young talent that
Yes.
are really starting to put it together. They've got some good pitching and some good hitting. I think
in addition to the Braves, you've got the defending World Series champs, Washington, in the East Division as well.
Yeah, shouldn't forget about them. They've got some real skills too. So I think there's that. And then to me, the biggest threat, and this was clear last year, and it's been clear the year before that as well. It's going to be the health. You're really our hands are tied with, I don't know if it's 4 or 5 more years of Darvish. I think he's healthy, injured, healthy, injured, healthy, injured. I think this would be the year that he's supposed to get injured, and I don't think we can afford that. I honestly believe Darvish is by far and away our number one, and he's got to stay healthy, and that to me is the biggest threat, his health. But it goes beyond that. Hendricks missed time last year. Hamels missed time last year, and that probably bit the Cubs more than anything. Now, I realize he's not back, but Quintana's not young. Lester is certainly not young. He's been durable, but I definitely think we've got age and certain health issues in the starting pitching, and that's going to be a challenge that we're going to have to hope to stay ahead of. And so some of that's going to be luck, and some of that's going to be good efforts on our training staff and watching pitch counts and managing it like that.
Sure. Now, you alluded a little bit to the financial difficulties that Theo and company brought upon this team knowingly. The contract for Hayward, the contract for Darvish, the contract for Lester. They've worked out some of them better than others, but they're still all expensive. There's a lot of money tied up there. So we're going to use that as our segue to get into these 3 trades that you executed during the course of spring training. So I'm going to run through the trades quick, all 3 of them, and then we'll come back and talk about each one individually. The first one was with the Pirates. Probably the biggest name in any of these trades, bringing in Chris Archer from the Pirates and Birdie to pitch out of the bullpen. That also, in a stroke of genius on your part, managed to get the Pirates to pick up $7.2 million of Archer's $9 million he's owed this year. And you have the team option on Archer for $11 million for 2021. And just as a side note from David Ross, which I don't know if you've been made aware of this or not, but he is going to slot Archer into the number 2 spot in the rotation right after Darvish. And he's talking about Birdie getting 9th inning work out of the bullpen right off the bat. He's going to share that with Kimbrel, it looks like. Now, for this trade, Victor Caratini was sent to the Pirates. Now, backup catcher, but a very talented backup catcher. Make no mistake, been a very productive hitter for the Cubs for the last couple of years. Also sent away last year's first-round pick in the June draft, Ryan Jensen, and three other minor leaguers, right-handed pitcher Cole Franklin, center fielder Manny Collier, and right-hand pitcher Chris Clark. The next trade is with I almost called them the California Angels, but they're the Los Angeles Angels now because I'm apparently still living in 1995, and brought in David Fletcher. Now, David Fletcher is a name kind of goes under the radar for some baseball fans, but a pretty productive second baseman, and getting to your point earlier about trying to fill that hole and find somebody to play second base every day. And then also bringing in Cam Bedrosian. Now, in order to make this trade happen, local legend David Bodie and 3 minor leaguers were traded to the Angels, including 2019 fifth-round pick Josh Bergman. And then finally, you managed to make a trade with the crosstown rivals, the White Sox, bringing in Ian Hamilton, Tyler Johnson, and Michael Kopech, a trio of minor league pitchers who are all considered mid to high level prospects. And for that deal, traded away was Tyler Chatwood, Brennan Davis, second-round pick in 2018, Chase Stumpf, second-round pick in 2019, and Luis Verdugo. And you did agree to pick up part of Chatwood's contract, but that is balanced out by the part of Archer's contract that you were able to get the Pirates to pick up. So, why don't you start out telling me about the rationale that you've got with the Archer for Caratini trade?
Yeah, I'm not gonna mince words. We had 4 starters that were major league caliber, and I don't see Chatwood as major league caliber anymore. He's got good stuff, but he can't control it. And I think what you simply would have seen was a starter that was not ready to pitch competitively as a starter. And in that case, I don't believe we had anybody in-house who was ready to step up and give a performance that would really make sure we were in the playoffs come October.
And, toward the end of last year, Madden had relegated him to the bullpen from probably August on.
Yeah, he was pretty much in the bullpen all year. So the reality was we were paying him a lot of money. We have a real tight budget. Not that we don't spend a lot, but we don't have any real flexibility to make moves. And so the reality was I felt like we didn't get another arm in the rotation. And I don't just mean a arm, but a pseudo-elite arm, especially with what I'm worried about with Darvish. I didn't think we were going to go anywhere. And so that was the impetus of that trade. Yes, it cost Caratini. I love Caratini. I think he's an excellent player, but also a backup. He was not, he was going to spell Rizzo at first. He was going to spell Contreras at catcher. And yes, having a strong backup is good, but that is, with the holes that we had, I didn't think we could keep that luxury. And I think it gives Victor a chance to play every day in Pittsburgh. And the reality was, I am dubious about whether or not Morrow can pitch a whole season, and Kimbrel has had velocity decreases and a difficult time really being elite. And so bringing in Birdie gave us amazing depth, I think, in the bullpen, and really answered the question in starting pitching without having me to give up the farm, although it did mean sending someone away like Ryan Jensen.
Yeah. Now, on to the Angels trade. This one kind of flew under the radar for most people, but David Fletcher, according to David Ross, is going to be the Cubs' everyday second baseman. So, share with me a little bit your theory behind this one.
Yeah, we were going in with probably playing some sort of musical chairs, primarily with Hap at second, but probably spotting in Bodie, and obviously if Horner comes up from AAA, he could have stepped in. The reality is we need a leadoff hitter. That's not a secret. We haven't had one since Fowler, and the Cubs have tried every real possible solution imaginable. None of which particularly worked, with maybe the exception of Anthony Rizzo, which still feels very weird if you're a baseball purist.
Yes.
And so it may have worked in some numbers, but it sure seemed bizarre. And my hope is it's giving Ross another opportunity for a potential leadoff hitter, and in my opinion, giving more consistency at second base. And Hap, I think you're still going to see him playing 5 or 6 times a week, but you'll probably see him playing second. You'll probably see him playing every single outfield position, and so you'll probably see him minimum 4 times a week.
In more of a Swiss Army knife type of role, moving around the different positions on the diamond, but spelling guys on different days.
Agreed. And look, Hap had an amazing September. He certainly was killing it when they sent him down early last year in Des Moines. But just getting deeper and making sure that we're prepared for any possibility, that seemed like a deal. And then getting Bedrosian just continue to build that depth in the bullpen.
Sure. And then finally, we talked a little about Tyler Chatwood and your disillusion with him. Sending him across town to the White Sox, dude probably didn't even sell his house. He just picked up and put on a different jersey. So tell me a little bit about these minor league relievers that you brought in for Tyler Chatwood.
Yeah, so again, I think when you look at what the weaknesses were on this team, getting more depth, right? So we've got 5 starters now. The Archer deal did that, but there's still, in my opinion, I don't think any of the guys in the minors. So it's Abbott and Alzolay and Mills. I don't know if any of those guys could be more than a spot starter. And so the reality was getting somebody, Kopech, who could come in and start if we have any injuries, which I think are likely. I thought that really put us in a better position to not falter in September. And that's exactly what you've seen in the last 2 years. Whether the hitting has disappeared. Last year it was Javi out for September, and that was really, to me, what we were missing the last part of the year. So I think Kopech gives us some depth, and then Tyler Johnson and Ian Hamilton are both, I think, young, capable relievers that could step in if we were to lose Morrow, who has not pitched really for the last 2 seasons. And I think it gives us an additional depth.
So I'm curious, if David Ross came to you and said, hey, I think I want to try a 6-man rotation because I think that Darvish has a glass arm and I just don't, and I want to give Kopech a chance, what would your response be to him?
My hunch is it's still a year early on Kopech. I think what you'll see from him is I think you're going to see this as a real educational year. I think that what you'll see is some real strides in 2021. I think he will be ready to go and do what he can in 2020, but I think you'll see his real maturity come in 2020.
All right. Well, that's fair. Well, I think that was a great discussion on kind of your theories of roster construction and addressing the needs that you see in the team and how all the pieces are going to fit together for this upcoming season. And so just to stare into the glass ball a little bit and tell me, what do you think? Give me a range of possible outcomes. Where you think that you want to see this team at the end of the season?
Oh, I absolutely think that this is a playoff team. I think it's going to come down to the wire and it's going to be a fight. But I do expect that we'll be in the playoffs. And I think that the health of this team is going to drive how far we go. If we hit on these trades and people stay healthy, I think we'll win the division.
So if I set an over-under of 93 wins, what would you take?
Well, I think it's going to be the under. I think you have to recognize just how competitive I think every team in this league is. I don't think this is not going to be an American League Central where you've got one team crushing and everybody's coming in at 82 wins,
Yeah.
or worse. I think what you're going to see is four teams with winning records in the National League Central. Maybe not. Maybe the Reds are pretenders. Maybe. But I think that there's some interest there that'll be interesting to watch. But I expect you're going to have three teams with above 500 records. And I don't think this is going to be like 2015 when you have three teams with 95, 96, and 97 wins.
Right.
I think it'll be more like 88, 89, and 90, or 89, 90, and 91.
No, what you're actually predicting is the cannibal scenario where everybody's kind of around the same level and they all win enough because of the 19 to 20 games in division that they all win enough to keep each other's win totals down a little bit. For 3 or 4 teams of pretty similar talent levels and not a lot of disparity there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, right? David is a first-year manager, so we'll see what to expect there, right? And if we get injuries and my moves don't work, I think we could end up in a worst-case scenario of 82 wins.
Well, in that case, I'll probably be doing Monday morning with a different general manager next season. So I guess I hope that's not the case. All right, well, let's wrap this up. In conclusion, we are just thrilled to get the season started, and I certainly hope that everyone enjoys these little segues that we do throughout the course of the season. So have a pleasant day.
Let's go win some games.
Absolutely.